Okay, I'm live. Oh, it's a little bit dark. So hopefully you guys can see me, but actually, maybe if I give it 1 minute, I might have to turn my light on. I should have actually double checked this, but let me turn my light on quickly. Okay, that's better. Yeah, I thought the lighting from the daylight would be enough, but it actually wasn't. So sorry about that. Thank you so much for joining me. So if you're in the UK, you would know that the clocks went forward. So I'm a little bit tired. I can't lie. Getting up an hour earlier than scheduled, you do get a bit tired, but all good. Hope you guys are doing well. Happy Mother's Day if you are a mother. I hope you are enjoying the day. And yeah, like we had fun. We took out my mother-in-law for lunch, which was nice after church. So yeah, happy Mother's Day to all of you amazing mothers out there, or mothers to be. And today we're going to talk about all things spending money. So last Sunday of the month, if you didn't know, I tend to do YouTube lives on the last Sunday. Typically, last Sunday of the month. I didn't realize it was the same day as Mother's Day. I hadn't actually realized that. But yeah, we are here today. So if you are able to join me, I hope you can join me and you can ask me any questions that you have. But today I wanted to do a quick live just on spending money, because that was another key topic that some of you had voted for. I think it was a couple of months ago I asked you guys what you wanted to have content on. It was either spending money or financial independence. So in my last live last month, I did it on financial independence. So if you haven't seen that, you can check it out. I think it might be in my description, but if not, you can go into my YouTube channel. And so that was all about financial independence, how you can start, figuring out how to work towards financial independence and all of those steps. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about was spending money. So some of you guys did vote on spending money. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Thanks so much if you're joining. If you do have any questions as well, please don't hesitate to ask me any questions whatsoever. Hopefully I can answer them. If not, I'm sure I can get you some resources that can answer them. But if you've got any questions around spending money or personal finance in general, let me know. And also just a quick reminder, if you haven't signed up for my free live training that I'm doing this Tuesday, very, very excited. So it's all about the 3 steps that I took to really start saving a lot of money, even when I didn't have like a huge salary. I've never had a huge salary. The most I've earned is about £33,500 a year. That's like the most I've earned. And before that, I was earning about like 27,000. So I was still able to save quite a lot of money, even though I didn't have, a huge salary. So hopefully I can give you some really, really good key points in terms of what you could do when it comes to saving money, whether you're trying to save up for a house, whether you're trying to save up for things like financial independence or your retirement. All of that good stuff I'm going to be talking about on Tuesday. So make sure you do sign up. It is in my description below. And even if you can't make it live, make sure you do sign up as well, because you'll be able to get access to the replay. So yeah, looking forward to that. But today I want to talk about all things spending money. And again, as I mentioned, if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. So what I kind of want to talk about is, I think, especially nowadays, prices have been increasing, prices have been going up. And, when it comes to spending money, I feel like sometimes we tend to have a lot of guilt when it comes to spending money, or we feel like, oh, we shouldn't have spent money on certain things, but then we still end up spending the money. And then we kind of go into a cycle. And so what I wanted to talk about was the fact that I don't think spending money is bad. And I think it can be a bit difficult, because sometimes we get told that we shouldn't be spending money whatsoever, and we should just be saving our money, and that's pretty much it, and that's all we should be doing. Whereas you have another camp where they may just be spending everything, because they're like, you only live once. You got to take your chances. You got to live life, and then you just end up spending your whole paycheck. And so because we have these kind of two camps, it can be difficult to figure out what we should be doing. Should we not be spending money, or should we just be spending our whole paycheck? And so for me, I would definitely say I'm one of those people where I never, and I always say this because I'm always like, I will never tell you not to spend your money. I will never tell you not to spend money. But what I think is more important is thinking about, okay, well, with what you're spending your money on, is that something that's intentional? And is that something that you are happy with and that's going to serve you purpose? And so that's really where, when it comes to spending money, that's where I try to put a lot of my energy into. So it's not just about, you know, just spending money on anything. And it's not just about just hoarding all of your money and not spending it at all, but it's how you can find a balance and figuring out whether you're actually spending intentionally or not. So if you ever got any questions as well in terms of like spending money or saving money, please do let me know in the chat. And yeah, let me know how you're, like, if you're celebrating Mother's Day as well, let me know how that has gone, or if you've done anything else on your weekend, let me know. But yeah, in terms of the intention, so let me maybe just talk about my personal kind of story when it comes to spending money. So a lot of people may not know, but I would definitely classify myself as a spender. You know, like when you keep asking, okay, is someone a saver or a spender? I am probably in the spender category, but you probably would not even realize that because of my YouTube videos. But if you knew me before and if you know my nature, I'm actually a spender. Like, I will see myself as a spender. Whereas, for example, my husband, I definitely see him as a saver. So he's always been a saver. Saving is just natural to him. Saving money was not natural to me. I had never really done it before. And so for me, I had always spent my money. Like, that was just something I did. And I think it's always interesting because people maybe get surprised at that because they're like, oh, you used to spend money? And I'm like, yeah, I still do spend money. But I think it's just the way I now view spending money is very different to how I was before. So in terms of, like, if you want to know a bit more about my story, I essentially used to spend my whole paycheck. Like, I would spend everything. Like, I was one of those people where I could not even tell you what I spent the money on. A lot of my money was spent on holidays. I used money that wasn't even mine on holidays. I'm not even going to lie. So those overdrafts were literally used to spend on holiday. I used to spend a lot of money on clothes. But the thing is, when I would spend money on clothes, I would just spend money just because clothes were on sale. So I didn't even need the clothes most of the time, and I would just buy them just because they were on sale. So that was my mindset. That was me three years ago. And so I've always been someone who literally just spends money. And it's really interesting because I always try to see if I get that from, if you get that from your parents, because a lot of the actions that you take and the behaviors that you have, it can be stemmed from, your parents, for example. So someone says, hello, I'm a 26 Christian woman, was with my 25 ex-boyfriend for 10 years. Wow, left as he wasn't keen getting married until 28 and didn't want to discuss finances, like saving or spending badly. Wrong. That's a really, really interesting question. And I do think that when it comes to finances and relationship, it's something that's actually very, very important, because one of the leading causes for divorce is finances. Like, it's a big topic. Obviously, after things like infidelity, finances is one of the leading causes. And so it's so important. Now, obviously, I can't tell you if, like, what you did was wrong or not, but I think from my perspective, that was one thing that I was very happy that I was able to really talk through that conversation before I got married. So before we got married, we actually ended up going through, it was like marriage counseling. We did it with our church. And we had to go through, I think it was like 6 weeks. It was very intense, but it was like through marriage counseling. So we had to talk about all things to do with finances. And when I'm talking about finances, it's like, are we going to join accounts? Are we not going to join accounts? What's that going to look like? Do you have any debt? Like, how much debt do you have? We obviously knew, like, do we have any assets, like savings, investments versus debt? So we had to have those conversations before we even got married, because I think it's very important. And also the conversations we had were whether someone was a saver or a spender, because depending on naturally how you are, that's going to have an impact on how you behave when it comes to money. And so for me, it was a little bit different just because I had been transitioning into someone who, even though I was a spender, I was obviously moving into the idea of, creating financial independence and working on my personal finances. And so it was a very different time. But I think if I was to have the same conversation 3 years ago, it would have been very different, because and I think funnily enough, I think finances was a big thing as well for my husband, especially because he could see that I was spending spending a lot of money. So I think that would have been really interesting. Hi Veronia, what are your thoughts on how to balance aggressively paying down the mortgage versus discretionary? That's so spending when debt free. That's a really, really interesting question. And I think the thing with paying down the mortgage is there's always two camps as well. And I always say that it is going to depend on your own personal circumstances, and also how it also depends on your risk, so your attitude to risk. Because some people on one camp will say that, just pay down your mortgage and just focus on that, and then that's it. Whereas you have other people on another camp that may say, use rather than pay down the mortgage, you should be using that money to invest, because you're potentially going to get a higher return. But your question is really interesting, because you're talking about versus, discretionary spending. So for me, this is personally my opinion. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, but based on my circumstances, I wouldn't actually be asking that question. Okay, not that I wouldn't be answering that question, but even if I was paying down my mortgage, I would still have some discretionary spending. It's just the extent to how much will be up to you. And that's going to depend again on how fast you want to pay the mortgage off. So for example, with me, I'm a big believer of, yes, we have a final destination and that's very important. But at the same time, I personally always want to enjoy the journey as well. So I don't, and which is why I always tell people, I will never tell you not to spend your money, because even when you look at my budget, yes, even though previously we'd been saving quite a lot of our money, we'd still been spending some of that money as well, because we also wanted to enjoy the journey. So we still had things like date nights, we still have our own spending money allowances, right? Because we still want to also enjoy the journey, because I think for us, it's still very important, because number one, we don't want to be miserable knowing that, okay, we're just trying to put all of this money, either into savings or either into paying off long-term debt. But if that happens and we're miserable doing it, well, then it might almost defeat the purpose. And you also want to be thinking about, okay, well, what is debt freedom going to mean to you? And when I'm talking about this, I mean paying off your mortgage. Especially with my clients, I'm always asking, what is that actually going to mean to you? What are you going to be doing in your day to day? And how can you also implement some of those actions now so that you can still enjoy the journey whilst also paying off your debt? Another thing you could also be doing is thinking about making more money so that you can pay off your debt even quicker without having to lose all of the discretionary spending. So without having to completely cut down. That is something that I think is actually really it's a possibility that you could do. So someone says, love this topic, also used to be a spender, but now I worry the pendulum has swung too far in the other direction, keen to find the right balance. Yeah, I think actually it's really interesting, because a lot of my clients tend to not suffer, but they tend to have this problem as well, where they then end up trying to save too. It's not that they're saving too much money, but they end up really saving so much money that they completely restrict themselves when it comes to their spending. But then that has an impact on their mindset, and it has an impact on their emotions, because they're like, oh, I'm supposed to be saving all this money, but then I feel really miserable because I can't spend my money, and I can't do anything about it. But because I've been told I need to save all of my money, I feel like I just have to do that. And then it kind of feels like, you're feeling restricted here, but you're not feeling happy at the same time. And so for me, it's like, okay, well, how can you make sure that you're able to still save a lot of money and you're still able to reach your financial goals, but at the same time you're still able to spend that money as well, because I still think that's really important. And for me in particular, I just want you to be spending money on things that matter to you. I want you to be spending money on things where you're like, you know what, this is worth the money. Like, I don't mind spending money on things, rather than in my case, where I saw the problem was, particularly with me 3 years ago in my past, I was spending money on things that didn't matter to me. I was just spending money on useless stuff. I was spending money on clothes because they were on sale. And I still have clothes sitting on my clothing rack that have just never been worn because I just bought them on sale because I was like, oh, 20% off. Yeah, I need this. And I actually didn't need it at all. Did not need it at all, but I was just spending money on that, right? Kind of the same thing with holidays, although holidays, for me, I think holidays are a really good chance to wind down and like see different places, especially if you're going to to another country. The problem is that I wasn't using my money to buy those holidays. That's where my problem was. I just used my overdraft because I was like, oh yeah, I've got time to like pay off the overdraft back before they start charging interest. And so that was my problem. Whereas at least if I'd have just saved up in cash and like literally just saved up for it and went on the holiday, I would have been like, okay, well, this is something that I'm planning. It's something that I really want to do. So for example, this year, like when it was supposed to be last year, but when we booked our honeymoon, I felt no guilt whatsoever because I was like, I have not been on holiday for so long. I think I hadn't been on holiday since 2018. So I was like, we are definitely going all out. We booked like a 7-day all-inclusive trip to Dominican Republic. I had no guilt whatsoever. I was like, yep, I am ready. But at the same time, we were also saving about 40% of our income towards our financial future. So I didn't feel guilty at all because it was like, well, I'm still focusing on my financial future, but I'm also still living for today. So it's really thinking about how you can find the balance. Hey, I know, purgatory. It's March already. I can't. It's end of March already. I know. We're going into April. So it's been so quick. It's been so quick. Yes. So the masterclass will be available. It will be recorded. So you just need to make sure that you're signed up so that you can access the recording. So just make sure, like, even if you can't join live to my masterclass. So again, if you're new, it's about 3 steps to saving money in terms of how I've been able to save money, not only just to save in general, but really start to, quit my job, and I've been able to get some, financial security. So if you want to sign up, you can. But if you've got time to join me live, Tuesday, 8 p.m. BST, we're BST now because hours have gone forward in the UK, you can join me live. But if you can't join me live, then just make sure that you sign up because then you can get the replay. So yeah, no, excited for that. But yeah, no, interesting question from before. I think in terms of, identifying whether you are a spender versus a saver is good. It, like, even if you are naturally a spender, it doesn't mean you can't save money, right? Like, I think that's also maybe a limiting belief that we tend to have, is if I just spend all my money, I can't save it. When in reality, that's definitely not true. But what you may just have to work a bit harder. And actually, I kind of see like there's sometimes two camps, or the people that come to me, I see them in two camps. Either they're naturally spenders and then they kind of spend their money and they're like, I struggle to save money, so I need help trying to save money. Or I have other people who is, and this particularly with women as well, I see this a lot. I have other women that come to me and say, actually, I think I keep saving all of this money, but I feel very guilty whenever I spend my money. And so I see those problems as well, where it's like, oh, I feel like I need to just save all of this money. And the other thing is that sometimes, we tend to just save the money, but we don't necessarily know what those savings are for. And that's another problem that I tend to see. Like, we don't really know what the savings are for. We've just been taught to save. And it doesn't help when, like, you see things on, like, either the media or the government. It's just basically telling you, you need to save money. But it's like, well, we don't really know what we're saving for. So how do you know how much you're supposed to save if you don't really know what you're saving for? So that's another thing where I think sometimes people miss in terms of the saving money versus spending money. It's obviously really good to save money, but it's equally more important to understand where those savings are going. And so once you know that, you're able to, I'm able to spend my money because I've already prioritized my savings. I've already prioritized my investments. So the rest of the money, I literally just spend it, and I don't. It's not that I don't care, but like I will literally just spend it. But then I feel a lot less guilty as well, because I'm like, okay, well, I already know what I'm saving for. I already know why I'm investing, and so because I've done that already, I can then just spend the rest of the money. And so that's why that helps me stop feeling guilty as well. So if you do feel guilty when, if you're spending money, let me know. Let me know in the chat if that's something that you feel guilty with sometimes. But that's really what's helped me. So even if you're a spender, I have been there. I will still classify myself as a spender secretly. Sometimes there are things where like I will almost want to impulse buy, but because I've done a lot of work on myself, I now just get to the point where I'm like, okay, let me just cool off for a little bit, and literally just all I will do is just think about, actually, is this going to serve me? Like, is this valuable for me? Is this something that I actually want to buy? And if it is, then I will buy it. I will buy it. But if it isn't, then I'd probably just be like, do you know what? It's probably not worth it, and then just leave it. So that's kind of how I tend to spend my money. So it's why I always say that I don't think spending money is bad. It's just, I think for me, it's just really important understanding the intention behind it and not feeling guilty as well. So yeah, but I think you do have those different camps, especially regarding to the other question in terms of if you want to like pay down your mortgage. The question is I think I would probably be asking myself, how badly do I want to do it, and how much do I really want to sacrifice my today in order to get that done as well. So like, do I really want to completely sacrifice myself but maybe not be as happy as put all the money towards the mortgage? Or do I want more of a balance where, yes, I'm putting most of the money towards the mortgage, but at the same time, am I still leaving myself to enjoy my life a little bit and to have that discretionary spending? Because there's nothing wrong with, discretionary spending. I think the problem that for a lot of us, it's kind of like you go to the two extremes where you either don't spend money or you just spend too much money. And sometimes that money may not even be our money. So if you're like thinking about like buy now, pay later, for example, where you're kind of thinking, oh, actually, I'm just going to delay purchasing, or I'm going to delay paying for that. And if that now starts to compound, or it starts to increase, that's where some of the problems may lie. So it's just really important to know the difference and see if you can have a balance. I loved your Women in Faith video. Thank you. It gives an insight on money and religion, which is often not touched upon. Yeah, I really, I hadn't actually thought about doing that video before, but obviously because some subscriber commented around it. But yeah, I think in terms of money and faith, we don't tend to talk about that very often. I think particularly depending on your faith as well, there's different views on things like money, whereas some people may see money as like the root of all evil, and so it's like, no, you don't talk about money, that's just something that we don't do. Whereas actually, when I dived deep into the Bible myself, I actually saw that the Bible spoke about money plenty of times, and even Jesus spoke about money a lot. And so for me, it kind of gave me that that confidence to say, okay, do you know what, money doesn't have to be a taboo subject, and it doesn't have to be dirty. It doesn't have to be like a dirty subject, but it's more about how am I going to use money as a tool? And am I going to use money as a tool to do good or to do bad? The same thing when it comes to like me spending my money. Am I just going to spend frivolously on things that I literally don't care about and just literally spend money on nonsense? Or am I actually going to spend money on things that are actually going to be valuable to me, that are actually going to serve me purpose? So that's kind of the question that I tend to ask. Just going to take a quick sip of my tea because I feel like my voice is going down a little bit. So, hi Veronia, for me, it's about finding the right balance. I used to be a big spender and then never knew where my money was going. Those days are over. I now have a budget and save for a goal. Yeah, I totally agree. It's about finding the right balance. And I think it's just important that we don't we don't go all the way to the other extreme where we're literally just saving every single penny and then we're just not spending anything, but then we're getting quite miserable because of that. I think, again, just kind of taking the two extremes, trying to find something in the middle. Personally, that's just my opinion. Like, if you want to save like 100% of your paycheck, then fair enough, fair enough. But I found that, I think, particularly for me, I think I did try to start going that way, and it just wasn't nice. I think because I felt so restricted. I was like, I just don't think it's just worth the hassle for me, just to save an extra few pounds. But yeah, again, personally, it's just my opinion. I will be cooking jerk salmon more often. Loved it. Do you have any more dishes? Do you know what? Jerk salmon is also one of my favorite dishes. We are actually going to be making that this week again, because it's just really easy to make and it's great. In terms of dishes, honestly, a lot of the times, I have a video actually coming out on Tuesday just talking about a groceries kind of video. So if you guys want tips on like how we're able to save money on groceries, I've got some other tips for you. So make sure you check that out, hopefully on Tuesday. But in terms of dishes, I tend to just Google or YouTube just dishes, or I will Google or YouTube. This is spoiler because this is part of my video, but I will Google, so like using particular like ingredients. So for example, when it comes to like sweet potatoes, I will literally Google sweet potato recipes if I want something different. So if I want like some type of baked sweet potato, or like I want like some type of sweet potato mash, or like fries, I will literally just Google, and so it can give me some good ideas, and then I literally just kind of copy the recipes. But the jerk salmon pasta is a good recipe. I think if you just literally YouTube it, you should find it. But yeah, it's really good. It's really tasty. I'm trying to think what else we're having this week, because last week we actually made jollof rice. So if you are like Nigerian or Ghanaian or African, then you probably know about that. We had jollof rice, and that was good because we could make like a big batch. I didn't actually make it. Yinka made it. So Yinka made the jollof rice, I made the stew. And yeah, we had that, and that was quite a big batch. So that literally lasted us for last week. And then we had we're having it today, actually. We had it this week. And then I'm trying to think, for this week, I think we're having salmon, we're having jerk salmon, we're having rice, we're having jollof rice. We're making like we're gonna try and make a chicken chow mein. So again, we just saw this on Yinka actually saw this on YouTube and was like, let's try this. So apparently he's going to make it. So I'm very excited because he doesn't tend to cook that often, but when he does, he actually makes very nice dishes. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that tastes. And I think that's it for the week. I think those are the 3 meals that we're having for the week. Great point about what you're saving for. I think I'm on track for long-term savings, but the midterm is a bit uncertain. Yeah, so that's also something that I'm definitely like a big fan of, is like, yeah, knowing, okay, what's happening in the long term, but then also thinking about like what are you going to achieve in the short to midterm as well. And that's what I'm going to talk more about on Tuesday's trading as well. So just clarifying that a bit. Difficult to set those goals and the trade-offs with the long term. Yeah, so it's just really about, again, balancing and understanding what you want to prioritize, essentially. But like, again, you also want to think about, okay, well, what do you want to achieve in the next few years versus the next couple of years, and which one do you want to achieve faster? Like, what do you want to prioritize more? You want to ask yourself that. You definitely want to ask yourself that question. But it's definitely good to have those goals, but again, it's something that could change as well. You don't necessarily need to have to stick to that goal every single year. Things change. Like, our goals have, like, even my goals this year have changed. Like, I was thinking of doing a video for it about it. I might not, but like, even our goals this year have changed, which is fine, because then it's like, okay, just you just tweak and adapt as you go. So for me, as long as I'm working towards something, and I'm kind of clear at the point in time that, okay, like, this is what this money is going towards, it's a lot easier for me to say, it's a lot easier for me to understand, okay, so whenever I get paid, this is where the money's going. Whereas I think for a lot of us, when we get paid, the money, we don't really know where the money is going, and so you're kind of just like, oh, I don't really know, and so you may just end up spending it on things that don't really matter to you because we've not necessarily made that plan. So I definitely think that's quite important. At the moment, saving for my trip to Dubai in August. Oh, lucky. I can't wait. It's had no holiday since the start of the pandemic. I went to Dominican Republic before the pandemic. Beautiful country. Oh, I have been to Dubai. So I will definitely say it's very hot. I think especially if you're going in August, it's really nice, but it's also very hot. I think I went to Dubai in 2017, I think. So yeah, Dubai is a really, really nice place. So I'm looking forward to Dominican Republic this year as well. So I'm glad you said it's a beautiful country. I'm looking, and I'm not cooking anything. We went all inclusive. I was like, nope, nope, not cooking anything. I just want to go there and eat and lay on the beach and enjoy. So I'm very excited. That's a great video idea, how to adapt your goals, plans along the way. Thanks for your helpful perspective. Yes, yes, I should do that video. I was also going to say, spoiler alert, because I'm going to do a video on Friday, but I am also, I don't know if I want to, I don't think, I'll give you guys a spoiler, but I am thinking of, no, I have changed some things on my YouTube channel. I am slightly changing my uploading schedule. So I'm planning to do a video on Friday for that, but I thought you guys that are joining me today, you get a sneak peek of what's happening. But I will explain more on Friday, but I am slightly changing my uploading schedule. And also, actually, before I forget, we've also 6,000 of you have subscribed to my channel, which is crazy because it's like I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, 6,000 people. That's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. Even when like I had 100, I was like, yes, 100 people. But to go from 100 to 6,000 is crazy. So thank you guys so much. If you have subscribed to my channel, if you haven't, there's a chance you can subscribe. It's free, don't need to do anything with it, but yeah, thank you guys so much for subscribing to my channel and being here with me. Also, end of May I would have had my channel for 2 years. It's been a while. Started this in 2020, just during the pandemic when I was furloughed and had nothing to do. And I was like, oh, I need to start a channel because I feel like I've always wanted to start a channel and here's my time because I have no excuse because I have so much time. So yeah, it's been a while, 2 whole years. I agree with you not going on holiday if I have to cook. Yeah, I mean, sometimes when we had gone on holidays, we did cook. We'd get like, like self-catered, or we'd get like an Airbnb. Well, we'd make like breakfast and then we'd go out for lunch and dinner. That's what we used to do. But this time I'm like, nope, I want to do all inclusive. So I'm very excited. And obviously, when you go to like places like the Caribbean islands, they're quite good for all inclusive, I believe. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It depends on the type of holiday I'm taking. Sometimes I love wandering, a farmer's market or a foreign supermarket. Exactly. I think it really depends on the holiday type. I think maybe with like city holidays, I probably wouldn't do all inclusive, although not a lot of city holidays tend to do all inclusive anyways. I think it probably depends on the nature of the holiday. But I think for particularly where we're going in Dominican Republic, they're quite known for like the all-inclusive stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, thanks so much. On reaching 6,000 people. Crazy. One day maybe it'll be 100,000. I'm not sure I want that many, but one day. Or taking a food tour or cooking class. Yeah, I've never actually taken a cooking. I haven't actually taken a cooking class before. Even like with like my like you guys, some of you guys like comment asking me to do cooking videos. I wouldn't describe myself as a cook. As a cook. I'm one of those people where I just throw things together and then I will just taste them and hope that it's nice. I don't like I can never tell you what ingredients I do. I just pick out some seasonings and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try that. Or I'll just look at the YouTube video and I'll just like follow what they're doing. So I'm not like the biggest person when it comes to cooking, but nice to know that some of you guys like some of those kind of videos. Speaking of paying for value, those are the things that are worth spending on for me. Exactly. So it's really thinking about, what's worth it to you. So for me this year, I was definitely like, traveling is definitely going to be worth it for me because I have not done it in so long. So I would love to just pay for that value, compared to other things. So it's all about thinking about what you value and what's important to you, and what kind of just brings you joy, what makes you happy. I think that's important. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But it's also thinking about, how are you paying for those holidays as well. Because before, I did not used to use my money to pay for holidays. I used to use debt, and so that is a lot more expensive. Whereas this time around, it's literally just like you just save up for it and you just pay for the holiday. And there you go. And I think it also maybe depends on like the season that you're in and what you're trying to do as well. So, for example, if I had like thousands and thousands of credit card debt, I may not be booking a 5-star all-inclusive trip to Dominican Republic right now, just as a holiday. But what I could be doing is saying, okay, well, how again, this is going to depend on what matters to you, though. It's going to depend on what you really value. But if you know that you really want to pay off that debt, what you might be thinking is, okay, well, can I do something? Can I almost substitute it for something? So even if I do go on holiday, I might not do the 5-star all-inclusive trip now, but can I substitute something so I can do something a bit smaller, pay off the credit card debt, and then go on my all-inclusive trip and just literally just pay cash and then just go all out. So that's another thing that you might want to be thinking, particularly, if you are in debt. That's kind of how I see it, if that makes sense. You'll exceed that amount for a year, no doubt about it. Oh, thank you. Your videos have been fantastic content. Oh, thanks so much, Alabe. Yeah, no, I'm really happy about that. Like it takes a really long time to do YouTube videos, which is why I'm actually changing my uploading schedule. Because it actually takes a long time. So for me to just because I kind of script my videos in terms of me figuring out, okay, what am I going to say? Do I need to do a bit of research? So I might be like looking at different articles, and so I will do that, and then obviously I have to film the video, I have to get ready. All of that probably takes 2 to 3 hours, depending on if I'm filming one video or two. And then once I've done that, I then need to edit the videos, which usually at the moment, it now takes about 6 hours per video to edit. So if you add 2 videos, that's 12 hours plus the prepping, that's another 3 hours, so that's like 15 hours. And then I have to upload it, and I have to do like different keywords, and I have to do like the thumbnail and stuff. That's like another one, like probably another hour. So you're looking at about 16 hours for 2 videos a week. So when I was doing that with my 9 to 5 job, it was I can't even believe I did that, to be honest. Yeah, that's standard. Yeah. So like 16 hours, but plus if you're working, 35 hours a week, and that doesn't even include things like Instagram, or it didn't even include when I was coaching. It's literally just my YouTube videos. Yeah, it used to take me about 8 to 10 hours to edit. Now it only takes me 6, luckily, because I'm a bit more efficient with it. But yeah, look, it used to take me like 8 hours per video, which would basically be like 6. So yeah, sometimes it would take me, like, to do 2 videos, it would take me about 20 hours to do a week. But yeah, plus your 9 to 5 job can be very busy, and that doesn't include like Instagram or like coaching or anything like that. So it was exhausting. Yeah, which is why I had to take a career break. It was literally kind of why I decided to take this career break. It wasn't even for me to kind of be like, oh yeah, what do I want to do? Like I was getting to the point where I was just getting I was getting burnt out. And because I was in my work, they will also give, when they start giving you more responsibility because they're like, oh, you're performing so well, but they don't want to pay you for it. Guys, know your worth. If they're trying to give you all that responsibility, yes, it can be very useful, but there's going to come to a point where it's like, if you don't pay me, I'm not going to do this. And I was getting to that point, and obviously YouTube, like I was doing so many hours on my YouTube videos, and so I was kind of like, do you know what? I need a break. Like I genuinely need a break. Like I need just a year, just to, like, first of all, just calm down and just figure out what I really want to do, and just take the time to figure out, okay, what route am I going? Like, do I want to stay in HR, and do I want to stay like my career was like diversity and inclusion? Do I want to stay in that field, or do I want to do something else? Because I literally had no idea. And it's kind of on tangent, off tangent, sorry guys, but like, let me know if you guys want have any questions about spending money. But because I was at the point where I was like, I applied to like a promotion where I thought that was something that I should go into, and then I got rejected for it. So I was like, okay, I don't really know what to do now. Like, I could go for work for another company, but I was like, I'm not sure I want to do that right now. And so I decided to just yeah, take the year off. And I was like, yeah, I need a break. I need to chill. Do you feel like you can make a living off YouTube now, or combined with other jobs too? Really, really good question. I think in terms of how much I make, I would definitely say that I actually make more of my money coaching and my other, like, that through that income stream rather than YouTube itself. But it was because of YouTube that I end up like working with clients, if that makes sense. So if you're talking about like what I do entirely, because I do get money from like coaching, I get money from, just being transparent with you guys, I get money from coaching, I get my money from ad revenue, I get a small amount of money from affiliate marketing. It's very small. And obviously like my budget templates, I would definitely say I would say that it would be enough if I had like a part-time job. It would definitely be enough. But having said that, at the moment, in terms of how much we actually spend, like in terms of our overall expenses, most of it is actually paid through, like most of it is enough. Basically my husband's salary pretty much covers all of that, because we actually don't have a lot of expenses. And I was actually calculating it. I was like, could we truly live off my husband's salary without like me not even contributing? We could if we didn't. I calculated that we could if we didn't give back to charity in our tithes. So because we actually give quite a bit to our charity and tithes, like my husband's salary just about covers it, but like I will contribute, I would need to contribute like a couple of hundred, but that would be just for our core expenses and our spending. It wouldn't include any savings or investments. So I'm really being like very transparent with you guys. Didn't even know I was going to share this today, but you know, we're family. So if we wanted to like save and invest for other things, then I would probably I would probably need like a part-time job to cover that stuff, because I also have like business expenses that I need to pay for my business, and because I also have investments in my business that I make, most of my money goes towards that. So that's why like whenever you see on our budget, a lot of money isn't going towards like our savings and investments, because most of my money that I do make, it goes towards like other business expenses and investments. So hopefully that makes sense. But in terms of like if I could make a living, technically I could, because of the way our expenses are. But if I wanted to get to the point where we were saving and investing as much as we were when I had my 9 to 5 job, then I would probably need I wouldn't need a full-time job, but I think I need like a part-time job. So that's also something that I'm kind of asking myself in terms of, you know, like, because it's almost been 6 months since I quit my job. Like beginning of May will be 6 months since I quit my job. So it's been quite a while. So I think for me, it's just thinking about, okay, well, you know, the next 6 months will probably go very quickly because it'll be summer. It's just thinking about, okay, well, what am I going to do next? Do I still want to go straight? Do I literally just want to go back into HR and continue to do this as a side hustle? Or do I want to focus more on this and then maybe get like a part-time job so that we can still, you know, save and invest? Because obviously we still have our other personal financial goals as well. So yeah. And yeah, the grind is very lonely. The grind is very lonely too. Yeah. There's a lot of highs and lows, particularly when it comes to starting a business. Like it's very emotional, and it's very different to when I was working at my 9 to 5 job. Like sometimes my 9 to 5 jobs will be very frustrating and I will get emotional for it, because I always wanted to do really well. And so if I didn't perform as well, or if like a co-worker was just being a bit mad, that would also be very emotional. But like at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, worst case scenario, I could always find another job, right? I could always go and work somewhere else. If I'm not happy here, I can work somewhere else. Whereas for your business, it just feels a little bit more personal. And so everything that you kind of do, it shouldn't feel personal, but it kind of does, because it's something that you're obviously building. So it has like, there can be highs and lows. Like I have definitely cried, definitely a few times. I feel bad for my husband, because there's times where I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's too much hard work. So I've definitely, and I've never really shared this with you guys. But yeah, like there's times where I've like cried, and like even now during like this break, I'm almost kind of, there's like things that you just start thinking about, because I have so much time now. You end up thinking about other stuff, and you're just like, it can be quite overwhelming. Like I thought I was gonna have fun during this career break, do a couple of YouTube videos, and then that's it. But no, because like I'm one of those people where I'm always striving for something, and I always want to do something, and I really just love, I don't know, I love this kind of stuff, and it's I'm very passionate about it. And so that can then have an impact on like my own thoughts, and like how I think about things, and my actions. So yeah, just having that, I'm so used to hustling, where like even in my 9 to 5 job, I was hustling. Like I would be coming in the morning and I'd be reading about diversity and inclusion, because I wanted to perform well. And so I've always been that kind of hustler. So for me, where it felt like God was telling me to just calm down. Like when I calmed down, I was like, I have like my thoughts. I was literally just like, I don't know how to think. And I have all these thoughts going around. So yeah, so it's a really interesting time. If you guys can do a career break, I would definitely encourage you to, because you really start to find a lot of things about yourself. And obviously I was able to do that because of my finances, because I got to a point where we were financially secure and we had those savings and investments. And technically we could have actually bought a house. We could have bought a house instead, but we chose not to yet. Just because, like, first of all, we didn't really know where we want to live, and also I just felt like I just needed a break, just a little break. Give me a year, and then I can find out what I really want to do, and sort myself out. So yeah, can we get a diary update on how this career change has affected you? Definitely. I want to do it for like 6 months. The 6 month mark, I want to do like a video just to talk through, my key learnings in terms of in terms of how it's been going, how I've been feeling. And yeah, mentally as a wife, it was like, it was already tough last year. Guys, we're going deep. We're going deep, but like, I feel like we're family, so I think we can go deep. But it was tough last year because obviously I was doing YouTube, I was doing my job, but also it was the same year that I had moved to a new place and I had just got married. And so there were all these big changes. Oh, no, you're not too late. Okay, well, you can go to you can skip that, but like join us. I'm basically, to be honest, I'm not even talking about spending money. What I'm talking about is literally just my life. I am pouring out my life's not issues, but things that happened in my life. But it was already difficult because like I was newly married and it felt like I was just spending so much time working, because I was doing my 9 to 5 job, and then after that I'd have to edit a YouTube video, or I'd go on a coaching call, or I would be on doing something on Instagram, and it just felt like so much. And I felt so bad to my husband because obviously we're newly married, and I was like, I've got all this work and I'm so stressed. And he had to like help me when I was like crying my eyes out sometimes because of how stressed I was. And so it was a lot. And that's partly why I chose to actually take this break and quit my job, because I was like, look, there's just so much going on, and I don't want to put our marriage in, like, I don't want us to go through that literally in our first year of marriage where I literally don't even know my husband because all I'm doing is working. I did not want that, and so I decided that actually I think this break will be good for me. And funnily enough, when I actually quit my job, I was still working long hours, like just on like YouTube videos or Instagram and stuff. And then I was like, hold on, I took this break for a reason. So I need to stop doing this hustle because that's all I'm used to, but I need to stop it because otherwise I'm going to be in the same cycle. Like there would have been no point in me quitting my job because I literally would have been spending the same amount of time working. And so I've been really strict with myself where I don't work a lot of hours. Like yes, I do YouTube videos, um, but I don't work a lot of hours during the week because I want to be able to have that flexibility. And luckily, my husband has a lot of flexibility in his job. He doesn't need to work as much, which is very lucky. I'm very jealous. But it means that we get to spend that time with each other, which is what I really wanted. I myself will not stop giving. I feel blessed that I'm in the position to be able to give tithes into charity. I know people I've spoken to me said they will never give. Yeah, for me, like giving is a really important thing for me because even when I was in debt, I was still giving. And that was the biggest thing that helped. That probably was the biggest thing that helped me feel so much more abundant. And that was another thing as well, because I was also helping, like I help out at my church as well. So I help out on Sundays because I'm an usher. But we set up like a financial team within our church as well. So as well as like doing YouTube and coaching, I was also doing the same thing for my church, as well as my 9 to 5 job and YouTube and being married and all of that stuff. And so it was madness. It was madness. It was too much. Yeah, exactly. Free time can be a blessing and a curse. Yeah. So I've really had to work through. Luckily, I've got a coach that helps me work through all of that mindset stuff because it's a lot when you do have that free time. But I'm so happy I've done it, and it's just made me so content and also feel so blessed and privileged that I was able to do this because not a lot of people can do this. Not a lot of people have the ability to do it. But it's why I'm so passionate about, helping people with their finances and like really trying to get you guys to think about your finances differently because I've seen how life-changing it can be. And I'm not saying that you have to like then quit your job and take a career break like mine. Definitely not saying that, but I think just being more abundant with money and knowing how to manage your money can do so many things for you, and it's done so many things for me. And so I'm so really thankful, and I just want to kind of share that knowledge as well. Veronia, I would like to ask, I know everyone has their own goals, but realistically, how many goals would you set in a month/year to be able to achieve them? Honestly, I like it. For me, it really it depends. Everyone is very different. So that's why I will always say like everyone is different. Everyone has different goals. Everyone has different things that they're working towards. So for me, it would just be looking at what works best for you. So for example, like I don't tend to, like, in terms of my goals, because yes, I will set yearly goals, and sometimes if it's very monetary, like you can divide them by the month. Sometimes I will set monthly goals, sometimes I don't. It really just depends on, sometimes like if it's to do with things like my business, I will set monthly or quarterly goals. But if it's to do with my own personal finances, I usually, depending on what I'm working towards, I will usually set them yearly, but then divide it by the month. So I'll then figure out, okay, well, what does that mean per month? Like when I was paying off my debt, I got to a point where I was like, okay, every month, 500 is going to go towards my debt. So I'm going to overpay my debt by 500 every month, just like that. And so what that meant was that I didn't even have to think about it. 500 would just go towards that debt. And then if I did have like extra money, let's say if I got a bonus, I would then work out, okay, well, what am I going to do with that bonus? Where's that money going to go? Am I going to spend some of it? Am I going to put it towards my debt? Am I going to put it towards a sinking fund? I will then figure out what I am going to do after. So that's kind of how I would do it. That's what I would do. But again, everyone's got different goals. Everyone's got like how you achieve, like for me, you may set like 10 goals and be fine, but then someone else may set 10 goals and just absolutely hate it. So it's going to really depend on on you. It's going to depend on what feels good to you, what's more realistic to you, where you can have those short term, those quick wins as well, those quick wins, because you do want that as well. Yeah, you were doing a lot. Yeah, I was doing quite a bit. You definitely needed a career break. You sound like a superwoman. Yeah, something I don't know if I'd call myself a superwoman, because there's definitely probably a lot more women that could possibly do this, and they may even have a child, for example. I could not imagine like doing all of that and adding someone else. But yeah, no, I think it was needed, and I was blessed to be able to do it. Where does your motivation to keep going come from? Whew, guys, going deep. These are some deep questions. Kind of feel like I'm talking to my therapist right now. So especially when you're at the point of giving up. Really, really good, great question. I think for me, and I will definitely be honest with you guys. There are times where I have almost given up. There are times where I'm like, I don't want to do YouTube anymore. I don't want to do videos anymore. Like there are times like that, and that's when I end up like crying. But in terms of the motivation, I think for me it was like, okay, I feel like God is this is what God wants me to do. Like this is my purpose. This is what He's brought me on earth to do. But also part of it is, I think, because I realized how much finances had changed my life, I just wanted to be able to do the same for other people. And a lot of it actually comes from my work, where and it's why I'm very passionate with women as well. But with my work, where you particularly have like glass ceilings, and what that means is that particularly with women, they may get to a point where they're unable to get to those senior roles, or if they do get to the roles, they may not get paid enough. And then that has an impact on their wealth. And it could also have an impact on their retirement, because you see studies that you have like women have less money in their retirement versus their male counterparts. And a lot of that could be due to work, especially if women have to, if they've got to take some time off, if they've got kids and they're, they've got a family and they may decide to go part-time or stay at home. And so that has an impact on their wealth. And so for me, especially when I was working, because I was working in the diversity space, I didn't want that. I wanted to be able to also build wealth, and I didn't want a glass ceiling or the color of my skin or my gender to have an impact on how much wealth I can build. Like I didn't want that, because I still see that in like FTSE 100 FTSE companies, where it's like you hardly have any women, you hardly have any ethnic minorities in senior roles. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to suffer like that. And so for me, I was like, I want to be financially independent. Like I want to be able to have this freedom with my kids, and I want to be able to still build wealth at the same time. And so I think for me, that's probably a big part of my motivation, where I'm like, do you know what? Like you guys need, like, I want you to keep going. And especially when you're seeing things on the news where they're like, millennials can't save up for houses, like things are too expensive, or they're not going to be able to build as much wealth as their parents' generations. It's like, it's like, I don't like seeing that. Or they're like, basically because we buy avocado and toast, that's why we're broke and things like that. So all of that kind of judgment, I don't really like it. So yeah, I just kind of want us to keep going, and I just want to show us that we can still do it. Like we can still work on our finances, we can still build wealth, no matter even if we have a particular background, or even if we have a particular gender or race or anything like that, we can still do it, even if people don't like it. And I'm going to still keep going. But I think because I still genuinely believe that people need help with this subject, so that's kind of like my motivation. But I would definitely say there's times where I've wanted to give up, 100%. Times where I've wanted to give up, where I've been like, Nope, YouTube is not for me. Times where I wanted to give up, but I'm so happy that I haven't yet. I'm, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. I think it's just because I'm just gonna like change some stuff, and I'm just making sure that I'm still like enjoying myself, particularly this year, and figuring out exactly what I really want to do. Yeah, this generation is in a bad spot. Yeah, yeah, and I think it can be really upsetting, particularly when you see things like in the news and you see things like prices going up and things are becoming more expensive. It's like I want to be able to get us to now think, okay, well, even if prices are going up, is there a way that we can at least still be focusing on our financial futures? Can we still be working towards something? Can we still be building wealth? And I definitely believe we can. It's weird because there's so much money to make, but the bills keep going up too. Exactly. And inflation is something that has always happened with us. It's just not been as high. So it's like, and this is probably going to be another topic. Like I'll probably do it in another live. But like it's again, that financial education is figuring out where that money is going, because that money is going somewhere. And for many people, they don't realize, but that money is going in assets. So if you own assets, that money, the money that you're seeing is going up, your money is going to go up as well. Your wealth will also be going up. And so that's again something we don't tend to talk about, something the schools don't talk about. And so if you know that, then you're more likely to be able to take action, where even though prices are increasing, it doesn't necessarily matter very much because your assets are also increasing. But not many people talk about that. So, you don't know unless you're obviously in tuned with finances and you're in tuned with like building wealth and stuff like that. Once you're on track is when you can let up the gas a bit. I get torn when it comes to not spending on something that gets me to independence faster, but I need to be healthy when I get there. Mm. So in this case, sorry, I feel like I hope I'm not getting a cold because like my nose is my nose is getting a bit weird. So in this case, for me, what I did is I just started focusing on making more money, so that I could still spend money, but like it didn't have an impact on my financial goals essentially. So that's like what I try to encourage people to do, is get to a point where you can control your finances so well and you know how to manage it so well, so that if you now want to accelerate that progress, like if you have certain financial goals, that's when you can now start to think about, okay, well, how can I now start to make more money so that yes, I can get to my financial goals quicker, but it doesn't impact how much I spend, or I can even spend a little bit more because I've been able to make more money. So that's kind of my take on it, because yeah, like that's again the thing that I was talking about, your like saving versus spending continuum, in terms of like, if you get to a point where you're just saving everything and not spending anything, you may feel guilty when you actually spend your money. But they may get to a point where at least if you can now start to make more money, you then don't need to feel guilty about spending that money as well. So that's one way you can definitely go. But also, depending on where you're at as well, you may also want to think about, just letting the gas up a bit. I think I did, but not too much. But what I did is focus more on like making more money so that I could still like, I could spend a bit more as well. So that's something that I did. But yeah, that's definitely something you can look at. But guys, I'm gonna leave it there. It's been an amazing chat. If you stuck with me to the end, like we had a heart to heart, I'm not gonna lie. It's a really strong heart to heart, but I'm gonna go because we're gonna have dinner now. For some of you, I will see you on Tuesday at my free training. So it's not too late to sign up if you haven't already. So make sure you do sign up, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. And remember, you can get the replay as well. Yeah. Again, yes. So someone made the point about saving everything isn't worth it. So yeah, again, like if you're thinking about the long term, then there's also a difference between like saving that money and then like making that money work for you. So it's really, yeah, important to know the difference. But I'll talk about that on Tuesday as well. But thanks so much. No, it was so lovely. Like I love it when you guys come and chat to me. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And yeah, we will speak soon. Thank you all. Bye.